Hello everyone! In one of my recent videos I discovered something very important, and that is that I am an actual prophet. In my recent video about Ben 10, which did insane numbers for me, thank you all very much, I am very grateful. In that video, I said something along the lines of the only people who would remember Ben 10 are between the ages of 15 and 26. And what do you know? I was exactly right. Now, clearly this information cannot be completely accurate. I looked it up a week ago and it said something a little different, but the point is, I was right. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, nothing. I was just gloating. So let's put my fortune-telling prowess aside for now and get into the topic of today's video. Digimon kinda sucks now. I might be being a little harsh. I mean, the Digimon Adventure Try movies look kinda cool. Wait, I was expecting to have to correct that, but the movies altogether get about a C-. That's cool. But here, let me show you something that isn't cool. Ew. We'll get more into this some other time, but for now, let's talk about the first show. Or wait, no. Digimon were originally toys, weren't they? The toys were released in 1997, so if you were a kid back then, God, you're old. Not only that though, you also had a fun time raising your Digimon and cleaning up after, am I right? Or maybe the fun part was supposed to be the battles? I don't know, they seem like they would be fun, but at the same time, what do you even do with it? Well, at least that's what I thought when I bought mine. I needed to know what came first, the first Digimon game or the first cartoon season that came out, and Google made me feel like my real question wasn't very important. The answer to my question ended up being the first game, which was kinda surprising, and I wanted to give it a quick try, but it was released in 1998 for Windows 95. So there weren't many leads on how to get it. So unfortunately, I have nothing from that game to show, but this is an overall victory for Digimon fans, because this game was released in February of 1998, and Pokemon was released in September of that year. Hey! That was completely wrong. Pokemon Red and Green were released in Japan 2 years before the North American release, so unfortunately, we lose here, Digimon fans. I remember saying something along the lines of Ben 10 had one of the best intros out of any cartoon, and the same can be said here. Just listen to this late 90s banger. A common theme with great cartoon intros is that the song basically just describes what happens in the show. Going back to the Ben 10 theme song, the first line is, "It started when an alien device did what it did," which yes, that is how it started. But the Digimon theme goes even simpler, just letting you know that Digimon are digital monsters, and can indeed digivolve into Champion and into Ultimate. And I mean, it works. You can't look me in the eyes and seriously say that this theme song sucks. Enough about the theme song, I'm going to start talking about the actual show now. The first season starts with 8 children at summer camp, consisting of Taichi or Tai, Yamato or Matt, Sora, Mimi, Izzy, TK, Joe, and whoops, they don't show up until later on. These 7, yes I said 7 originally, don't fact check me. These 7 kids were transported into the digital world, which, if you can believe it, contains Digimon, and the 7 Digi-Destined, really cool name by the way, meet their partner Digimon, Koromon, Tsumamon, Tokomon, Yokomon, Tanamon, Motemon, and Bukamon. Wow, it's been years since I watched the show, but I still remembered all the in-training Digimon names, which is weird because they instantly turn into their rookie forms. Agumon, Gabumon, Biyomon, Palmon, Tentomon, Gomamon, and Patamon within the first episode. These 7 kids are thrust into a new world with no direction given to them, strange creatures who are strangely attached to them, and even stranger creatures trying to harm them. Wow, mad respect to the creators for coming up with such outlandish situations in which children can be harmed. After almost dying to this huge bug named Kuwagumon, which from what I can remember in some of the games digivolves from Tentomon, which isn't important, I'm just flexing my Digimon knowledge. Anyway, after almost dying at the hands of a huge bug, the Digidestined go on an adventure through this world in order to find their way home, but not before Devimon gets up to some shenanigans and forces Digimon to attack them for no apparent reason. I tried to find out what he wanted to accomplish, but I legitimately couldn't find any reason for these Wile E. Coyote schemes he was cooking up to mess with these children. At one point he tried luring them into a sense of security by inviting them into a fake mansion, and when he got found out, he split the kids up by dividing the island they were on into 7 pieces and putting them into different parts of the ocean. Okay, that's kinda wild. Devimon may not be a nice dude, but he has flair, I'll give him that. Thanks to Devimon's scheme, we get introduced to the absolute GOAT of the Digi world, Leomon. Look at this man, he's effortlessly cool. He had one goal, and that was to protect the primary village where all the Digi-eggs were, but unfortunately, he got mind controlled by Devimon and was working with him until he was finally freed by Matt and Tai a little later on. But hey, who hasn't made a mistake or two? Anyway, with Leomon freed and all the other kids done with their own trials after being split up, they gather again to fight Devimon, but uh-oh. That was part of his plan. He has now absorbed a huge amount of his weird mind control gears, as well as Ogremon, who I forgot to mention earlier, but he's a bad guy, who is working with Leomon, who isn't really evil. He just wants to beat Leomon. However, he does some real evil stuff in pursuit of that goal. Devimon is massive now and is shrugging off attacks from the main champion Digimon. However, there was a prophecy stating that Devimon would be defeated by the smallest of the Digidestined, so as soon as he goes to crush TK, Patamon, who hadn't been able to digivolve yet, digivolves into Angemon, who is just so cool. Digimon absolutely nails the design of their creatures. Angemon deletes Devimon with his Hand of Fate attack and help from the rest of the Digidestined. And on his deathbed, Devimon declares that there are many more evil Digimon just as powerful as him, as well as many that are more powerful, and that they couldn't beat those Digimon even if they sacrificed Angemon again. Oh yeah, Angemon died a little. The next thing the kids have to do is defeat Edamon, who is designed off of an Elvis Presley impersonator. But turns out champion Digimon just aren't enough to defeat him. So now the Digidestined have to go find their crests in order to digivolve into their ultimate forms. They eventually find all of them, but apparently they need more than just that to digivolve. Friendship, probably, I don't know. And Greymon is the first to digivolve thanks to Tai overfeeding him and throwing him into danger. Because of that, he turns into Skull Greymon, which, surprise surprise, is not what he's supposed to turn into. Oh, and by the way, your eyes aren't deceiving you, that is an organic missile on his back. This cool design is also enhanced by the most raw Pokédex entry you've ever seen. This accident shakes their confidence, but all of the Digidestined are eventually able to get their crests. Tai having the crest of courage, Matt with the crest of friendship, Sora gets love, Mimi has sincerity, Izzy gets knowledge. You don't care. Edamon is a real meanie, so Tai and Agumon storm his base of operations, and during the fight with Edamon, Greymon digivolves into War Greymon and defeats him. But not before Edamon opens up a dimensional rift, sending Tai and Agumon back to the real world, where he spends a few hours playing with his little sister, who recognizes Koromon for some reason, before getting a disturbing warning from Izzy and deciding to return to the digital world, where it's actually been months since he left. While he was gone, everyone split up to look for him, but they were all being kept apart by the surprisingly evil Devimon. And he sounded like such a good guy. Devimon's antics include making TK and Tokomon fight, trying to feed Tai an amnesia mushroom, made Joe go into debt at a diner by leaving the bill to him, and making Mimi get pampered by this frog dude. These shenanigans mostly backfired though, because most of the time it just resulted in one of the Digimon unlocking their ultimate forms. Edamon is back, and this time he's metal, and he actually isn't the big bad. That title goes to Myotismon, who after a skirmish in the digital world decides that he is in fact built different and raids the real world in order to find and kill the 8th Digidestined, who ends up being Tai's younger sister Kari, and her partner Digimon is Gatomon, who is an enemy. Sort of. Myotismon actually tortured Gatomon until she became subservient, and I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but Myotismon definitely looks like someone who would enjoy torture. And he does. At least 4 Digimon that I've looked up from this show have somewhere in their lore that they were tortured and made subservient by Myotismon. So now all 8 Digidestined are gathered and they finally defeat Myotismon, but actually they don't. Because Myotismon comes back as Venom Myotismon, who is a Mega Digimon which comes after Ultimate for some reason. So Venom Myotismon is obviously not being damaged by the Ultimate Digimon's attacks, so what is the solution? Well, obviously you have Angemon and Angewomon shoot arrows of light at Tai and Matt to make their partners digivolve into War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, who are individually very cool, but you will see what makes them extremely cool later. War Greymon and Metal Garurumon take out Myotismon, and when they do, a rift appears connecting the digital world, where this time years have passed and it's been taken over by the 4 Dark Masters, Metal Seedramon, Puppetmon, Machine Dramon, and their leader Pedomon. The Digidestined go through the 4 masters, and in the final fight against Pedomon, Angemon digivolves into Magna Angemon, who is just Angemon but even cooler. And after the fight, turns out they aren't done yet. Enter Apoclymon, the cause of everything bad in the digital world. Born from Digimon who died during Digivolution, he is attempting to turn both the real and digital world into an underworld to justify his existence. His name isn't the only thing that's cool. Even his attacks are cool. One is Death Evolution, which reverse digivolves the opponent. Another is called Darkness Zone, with a description that simply says he deletes his opponents. And another called Total Annihilation, where he sacrifices himself, but the blast has the power to destroy universes. After apparently being deleted, the Digidestined are able to force Apoclymon into his creepy mode, who... oh no. No. Apoclymon activates his Total Annihilation attack, but thanks to the power of friendship or something, the Digivices protect the kids and the day is saved. Heartwarming.
Hey! You did it! You're amazing! Remind me to call you the next time I have trouble with my landlord.
This was surprisingly good. You would expect a movie made for kids to be, I don't know, worse? Going into this movie, I expected a cheesy and simple story about how friendship always saves the day. And to a degree, that's correct, but they don't overplay it, and they don't seem to take the plot they made seriously, and just try to deliver a fun experience. I mean, the last few minutes are spent trying to take down a Digimon who got into America's systems and activated nuclear launch codes. And the only reason they even knew that is because a kid from somewhere in the world hacked the Pentagon's server and found out, then emailed them somehow, so it's pretty clear they were not after a cohesive plot. Near the end of the movie, they introduced the coolest Digimon so far, an Omegamon, or Omnimon, I don't know which is accurate, who is part of a group of Digimon called the Royal Knights, which is made up of Digimon just as cool as him, if not cooler. Obviously, Digimon has its fair share of spin-offs like other cartoons, toys, video games, and manhwa? Wait, not manga? I wasn't expecting that. Every masterpiece has its cheap copy, and Digimon 02 is that for Digimon Adventure. Okay, that's a little harsh. I didn't like this one as much as Adventure, but I still remember it fondly. There is no excuse for how lazy they got with the theme song though. They just had the same song, but somewhere in there they added in the phrase, Armor Digivolve, which was kinda the gimmick for this show. We have a whole new batch of Digidestined this time, including Bootleg Tai, Nerd, Cody, and TK and Kari, but older. I wasn't kidding about that. It's actually them. Anyway, there's a new villain, and his name is the Digimon Emperor, who is really disappointing. I clicked on Digimon Emperor expecting to see something cool, but what I found was an edgy preteen who had wished death on his older brother at one point. Real plot point, by the way. Fratricide aside, this character was also a Digidestined who was misled into becoming evil and erecting black towers all over the digital world that make it so that Digimon can't digivolve, except conveniently Armor Digivolution, which is totally free game. Ken here creates Chimeramon, who is a chimera, and loses control of him, which results in this adorable creature that he abuses called Wormmon sacrificing himself to save him. Then he gets all depressed and goes into a coma for a bit and wakes up to find the baby version of Wormmon, and now he's a good guy. After a quick game of I think he's a good guy, well I don't think he's a good guy, well he just saved you, so now what? Okay, he's a good guy. Ken joins the main team and they work together to take down the black spires that he had set up around the digital world. But now they have to fight Arukenimon and Mummymon, who have the ability to turn the spires into super strong Digimon, which results in the creation of Black War Greymon, who came out to be an absolute menace. As soon as he was born, he told his creator he would not follow anyone weaker than him, then proceeded to fly away and wreak havoc until he unleashed one of the 4 divine beasts in the digital world. In this whole mess of Black War Greymon trying to awaken Azulongmon, the real mastermind was revealed to be Yukio Orikawa, who looks like a mixture of Severus Snape from Harry Potter and a hot American guy from Trojan X, or so we thought. He was being possessed by Malo Myotismon, yes, the same Myotismon who was so strong in the last show that he was able to invade the real world. So strong, in fact, that there needed to be a literal prophecy that foretold his defeat. Anyway, he gets beat up by this really cool Digimon. I'm not here to talk about Malo Myotismon or anything that I should in this video. I'm here to talk about one of my favorite Digimon, Citramon. You may be thinking, oh, but that's just a giant orange. Shut up, you fool. What this is a work of art. Look at these two pictures side by side and tell me what you notice. Well, it's only natural you wouldn't be able to tell what the similarities are. It's a tough thing to do when you don't have a discerning eye like I do. Literally I'm half blind. True fact. Citramon is a reskin of this Digimon that I'm now realizing does not appear until a much later installment of the series, so I'll just end this section with a picture of our boys fitted up and ready for work. Okay, this part ended a little abruptly, but come on man, this is getting to be really long. This show was 100% my favorite Digimon series as a kid. I mean, just look, the perfect trio of Digimon as the main 3. Guilmon, who is just the right amount of stupid, Terriermon, who is adorable, and Renamon, who to me was cool, but to other people is... You know what? I'll stop right there. I don't want to spread any of the things I've seen. This show centers around Takato, who had just finished creating his Digimon OC when his Digimon card battle device turned into a real Digivice and made his Digimon real. I'm leaving a lot out, but that's about the gist of it. Takato, along with 2 other kids, helped the government take down wild Digimon who were materializing in the real world, and I have a gripe with all 3 of the main characters' names. Takato's surname was changed from Matsuki to Matsuda, cause that's so much easier to pronounce for Western audiences, right? Well, they continue that with Neo over here. Ruki Makino was changed to Rika Nonaka. Again, so much easier, right? And finally, the one I have the biggest problem with. This guy right here is half Chinese, so they gave him a name to match, Jianlang Li, which, you know, isn't the easiest to pronounce, but you know, you can do something other than changing his name to Henry Wong. They chose the most American name to go with the most stereotypical Chinese surname possible. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm not mad or anything, but it's kind of funny to think that they only westernized one name and inexplicably changed the other ones even though they are also from a different language. I'll get more into the story, but I wanted to mention, I feel like a lot of Japanese kids shows made the main characters' parents bread shop owners, but I can't think of any other one, so it might just be me. Beyblade Burst does that apparently. Hey, do you guys remember when Jinka took down over 100 Beyblades all by himself? That can be a topic for another day. A main plot device in this show is Kalumon, who is adorable, is the incarnation of the process of Digievolution, and has 2 studio albums that I can't find. Please, someone find it for me. I'm sure this band is good and all, but it's not what I'm looking for. Anyway, Kalumon is kidnapped by the 12 divas, or like 4. I'm not sure, I think a bunch of them died. Now the kids have to go into the digital world along with some of Takato's friends, and the only reason I'm mentioning them is because one of them ended up with this adorable creature called Marine Angemon. In the digital world, the kids are tasked with taking down the divas, which leads Impmon, this little guy right here, who was originally just a tiny troublemaker, to make a deal with one of the divas, Katuramon, who throws Impmon into a volcano, and Impmon comes out as Beelzemon. Do I need to say anything about him? Just look at him. He has a double barrel shotgun. As cool as Beelzemon is, he is equally not a very good guy. He gained this form by making a deal with one of the bad guys, so now his goal is basically kill the children. And during one of the main fights with him, he kills Leomon, who, honestly, you're gonna see a weird theme where basically anytime Leomon is mentioned, he ends up dying. It's really sad what they do to this man. Anyway, this leads to Takato getting mad so that War Growlmon, the ultimate form of Guilmon, digivolves into Megidramon, and once again, this is so cool. The design team for the Digimon in this area really hit the nail on the head for basically every design, except for Terriermon, who went from this to this, then this. Even though Megidramon has the upper hand, once this dude comes up to talk trash to Beelzemon, he kills him and loads his data, and defeats Megidramon. Now it's obvious that something went wrong with Megidramon. Defeated, he turns back into Guilmon, and Takato has some internal struggle before he wishes that they can fight as one, and right as Beelzemon was going to shoot them in the head with a double barrel shotgun, Takato and Guilmon fuse into my favorite Digimon ever to be released, Gallantmon. It's one more thing where I don't really have to say much. Look at him. Its official name is Dukemon, and in Japanese he refers to himself in a regal manner by saying, "I, Dukemon." So he's not just cool, he's quite the gentleman too. When he does his mode change, his attacks are awesome as well. The designers couldn't even decide if they wanted to give him a sword or a spear, so they gave him both, and both of them have the coolest names weapons can have, Bloodgang and Gungnir. They also give him a dragon to ride on, as well as 5 sets of wings, which is more than a biblically accurate seraphim. And if all that wasn't enough, his final attack, called Final Justice, in which using Gungnir, he disintegrates his opponents into electrons and then consigns them into oblivion within another dimension, whither thou canst not follow the attack. This attack is so cool, whoever was writing that on the wiki switched to medieval speak near the end. I really like Gallantmon, so please excuse me while I get into what happens next. After defeating Beelzemon and apparently fighting the Digimon god for a while, according to the wiki, the kids have to go fight the D-Reaper, who is a program created by the United States of America that made it so that once the digital world passed a certain amount of RAM being used, it would awaken this giant thing and start deleting everything. But the code was written back when the digital world had almost no RAM, so these were outdated metrics it was using. And for some reason, America left the code in without updating it at all, which makes me wonder why Digimon makes the US out to be bumblingly incompetent. There's this, and then in the movie I was talking about earlier, the nukes being fired at Japan were from America. And then when that Digimon took over their systems, it started talking trash to everyone in the room. Like, okay, our bad for not expecting some strange creature to be created in the World Wide Web, and then proceed to steal nuclear launch codes. Sorry for the obligatory defense of the United States. If I don't do it, I fear for my family. In this fight, a few things happen, like Gallantmon performing his mode change and Beelzemon performing his mode change into a less cool than Gallantmon Crimson mode, but still super cool Blaster mode, where his arm turns into a cannon. Apparently the reason this show had such a dark tone was this guy, Chiaki J. Konaka, who had worked on things like Serial Experiments Lane and Hellsing, and I would love to sing this man's praises, but in 2021, he wrote a stage drama for Digimon Tamers in which the main characters fight the physical manifestation of political correctness, who uses an attack called cancel culture. Also, he had a blog where he talked about Digimon Tamers and how 9/11 affected his work on the show, as well as conspiracy theories that he has since apologized for, but still, kinda wild. I wasn't really expecting much, but this game is really good. Actually, part of the reason this video is coming out after so long is because I played through the entire game, and of course got Gallantmon Crimson mode. I'll be honest, I don't remember much of the story, I just remember a lot of thinking, oh look, number go up, ooh look, Digimon turn into cooler Digimon. is what I'd like to say. On the surface, the Digivolution system seems a little complicated, but once you experience it, you pretty much have it down. The only problem is that it is so time consuming. Like, look at this. This Digimon needs to be this level to evolve. But wait, aptitude means max level. So how am I gonna level it up if it caps out before that? Well, you either Digivolve it into a different one, and then once you hit the right level, you can go back and reset the other Digimon back at level 1, but this time with a higher max level. Or if it's not much of a gap, you can degrade it back to the form before, and it might raise your aptitude enough, and that could happen to any number of stats. That's not it though. Look at this. Are you wondering what holy means? It's a stat that you can only get by defeating holy Digimon. And get this, every single type has a stat like this. Sure, not every evolution requires a stat like that, but the ones that do can be really annoying and tedious, especially when you're exploring an area without much of your needed stat. Also, there are no repels, so it takes like an hour to explore one area. Jesus, I'm so sick of seeing Koromon. Rant aside, the game was actually really fun. I forgot most of the story, but the boss at the end was pretty cool. I'd rate this game as equal to Worms Armageddon on my personal ranking system, the Worms ranking. My only regret is that I couldn't get Beelzemon. Okay, so this video is getting super long. I could go on for another 20 to 30 minutes, but I feel that this is enough for now, until I release the next part, which could be 2 weeks from now, or it could be a few months from now. It just depends on what videos I want to make in the meantime. Because do you want to know what goes into making a longer YouTube video? Well, the answer to that is a 24 fluid ounce monster and an Arizona green tea of similar size. And that has got to be unhealthy. Oh, and that reminds me, I appreciate all of the nice comments on my Ben 10 video, and while I'm not sure what to think of this one, I'll say it was probably born from a positive impression of me, so thanks anyway. It's about time for me to go to sleep now, so enjoy this preview of part 2 that, considering what I've seen so far, is probably going to be called Digimon Sucks Now. Next time on Pi arbitrarily ranks cartoons that he remembers watching. Look to the past as we head for the future to reclaim the digital world. With faith in ourselves and trust in each other, we live by the lessons we've learned. As we work towards one solution through a spirit evolution. Come to think of it, I should start citing sources. So for this video, my sources are fandom, my memory from when I watched this stuff as a kid, and I made it up. Oh my god, why did they give TK a fedora?